What's up, guys? We're the Morty Bros. Welcome to our channel. We were cooking anyway. We were cooking healthy, fun, really good tasting, a lot of times organic meals, and we wanted to share with all you. So we hope you enjoy everything that we have to offer. Let's get started. Today, what we're gonna be preparing is a flatbread with sauteed onions, sauteed mushrooms, mozzarella cheese, pesto, which we're gonna make homemade, and steak, which is gonna be a main portion of the meal as well. The dough for the flatbread we already made right here. Pre-made yesterday. It was in the fridge all night. We put another video in at some point showing how to make the dough. We'll use about half of this dough here. So we have to do the steak first, get that going. We're gonna air fry the steak. So for all people who are not able to get a grill, we live in an apartment. We're not allowed to have a grill up here. Perfect way to do a steak. It's gonna come out perfect. Preheat the air fryer. We're gonna put the air fryer all the way down to 300. What that's gonna do is it's gonna give it a nice, even cook throughout the whole thing. It's not gonna overdo the outside and leave it raw on the inside. The 300 temperature works perfect if you're looking for a nice medium rare, and we'll be checking it as it goes. Air fryer's gonna start. What we're gonna give some seasoning to the steak. You need seasoning on pretty much everything. So we're using a little bit of avocado oil. You really don't need that much oil, especially this is a ribeye. Ribeyes have a lot of fat in them already, so it kind of cooks in its own fat. Just give it a hit of avocado oil. Using avocado for meat and olive for everything else. It's really the only two oils you need. Get some salt and pepper. Actually gonna use the grinder here. It gives it some bigger pieces. Don't be shy with the salt and pepper. Pretty thick steak, so put a lot on the outside. It's not gonna get to the inside. You're gonna want a lot on the outside to give it a good flavor throughout. Seasoning both sides, salt and pepper. I'm gonna do a little garlic powder as well. I think garlic powder works well with this dish especially. And now all I'm gonna do, since I have the seasoning on the plate already, I'm gonna get the edges, just mop it up. And that's basically it. So that's the full seasoned steak here. That's just gonna get popped right into the air fryer. Get my hands a little wet, open it up. Steak's gonna get dropped right in, 300 degrees. And we can kind of forget about that for a little while now, because that's gonna take a while to cook. I have a thermometer we're gonna use. We're gonna want the steak to get up to about 130 degrees. That's really the medium rare that you want. And let's move on now to chopping our veggies. Here what we're doing is mushrooms and onions. All we really need is one onion here. We're only sauteing the onion. The mushrooms we're actually just gonna throw on the flatbread right before we throw it in the oven. The other thing we're going to do is just chop our mushrooms right now. You can hear the onions right now. They're starting to sizzle a little bit. So we're going to turn the heat all the way down. Literally have to season everything with salt and pepper. We're going to break them up in here. Right now what you're doing is you're just making sure they're not burning, they're not sticking to the bottom. If they stick to the bottom of the pan, you're gonna burn them. This one did get a little bit of char there. I mean, that's fine, the golden's fine. You don't want them to get brown, because you're gonna taste that burnt flavor on the onion. So we're gonna focus on next is preparing the dough. All right, so we have our dough here. I made this yesterday. I'm just gonna chop it in half. I'm probably just gonna save the other half for who knows when. So this dough is going to take a little kneading. We'll probably edit this video, but just know that this actually takes a pretty long amount of time. It might look a little bit cliched, but actually throwing it in the air does help it stretch a little bit. And it shouldn't be too soft. This is a good texture if you're going to make your own dough. You don't want it to be too soft. You want it to have a little bit of firmness to it. Eventually, if you work with it enough, you're gonna get it to the point where you want it. You can also use a roller for this. I don't have one personally, so I like using my hands. I'm starting to get there. Note that I just set the oven to 500 degrees. Started in this cast iron skillet right here to get the nice crust on the bottom. Then after maybe like a minute or two, you're gonna start seeing the olive oil underneath it start to smoke up a little bit, that's when we're gonna throw it into the oven, and then we'll just go by sight in the oven. Let's just take a look at our steak right now. And like it's already starting to get there. I mean, it's been in for about 10 minutes or so. Just to get a read on it, let's get the temp. You're gonna wanna throw the thermometer in the thickest part. So right now, it's actually almost 100 degrees already. And in some spots, it's actually a little higher than that. I don't know if you can see. This probably needs another 3 minutes, and it's probably gonna be good, and then we'll let it rest. You always wanna let steak rest when you take it out of the oven as well. So this is the shape we have. I just wanna make sure it fits in here, which it does. Let's check the steak one more time. Yeah, and look at these. You just see the juices coming out. You wanna let it rest for a couple minutes, which it did. But this is like pretty much perfect medium rare. In the ribeye, you're gonna get one fatty part, which, to be honest with you, tastes amazing. Some people don't like the fat. If you don't, just don't eat it, cut it off, send it to me. I'll try one. Salt, pepper, garlic powder. It's the easiest thing that you can put on. We have the steak, we have the cheese cut up, we have the mozzarella, the mushrooms, the onions, we got the dough over there. Last thing we need to complete this meal, the pesto. I like to basically make everything from scratch. A few things I'll buy in the store pre-made, but if you make things from scratch, you know exactly what's going in them. Pesto is very easy. We have a basil plant that we keep over by the windowsill for light. I have basil here. We don't need that much because we're just making a little flatbread pesto. Olive oil, and then salt, pepper. I always need salt, pepper. We're gonna throw a little bit of pecorino cheese. A lot of people buy like the Americanized Parmesan cheese, like just spend the extra couple bucks. Get it imported. So that's all we need. Basil, cheese, salt, pepper, and olive oil. Just throwing all the basil in. This is the base for the pesto, obviously. All you need after that, olive oil, salt, ground black pepper as well.
This is a Chuki production.
So since we're not making a lot of the pesto, you're not gonna get that extreme fine chop because the blade isn't able to capture all of it. And it's such a simple thing to do. First time I've ever made it. Just goes to show you, like, you can really just do whatever on the fly, but I mean, that's pretty good. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna spread this on. And we're gonna just go for a thin layer here. I mean, I like going all the way to the edges because you're gonna make sure you get the nice crisp all the way around. Make sure you have the oil on the edges. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start topping it with all of our toppings. Like I said, I'm not using all the steak. So we'll throw the steak down first. So there you go, that's good at the steak. I'm gonna come over here with the mushrooms. Again, I'm taking the thinner mushrooms. Then we are going to take these amazing onions that we had just cooking for the last 45 minutes, and we're just gonna evenly distribute. And then, folks, it's very difficult to over-season anything. So a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper. The most important, the cheese. I recommend buying it from a local Italian deli. I bought this from the Italian deli down the street. It's definitely, you could taste the difference. It's so much better than the stuff in the store. Not gonna use all this cheese, but you do wanna make sure the cheese is kinda all over the place because even when it's on the crust, it makes a huge difference when it falls over the crust. Just so it gets the crust underneath. Turn it on. All right, so we just transferred it in. It was a two-man job, so I recommend either putting it all together while it's already in the pan or flouring this before you put the dough down so it slides right in. Now we're just gonna, the pan is on, the cast iron pan is on. And what we want now is just a nice crust at the bottom of the pan. And what you're gonna see, it's gonna start to smoke at a certain point. The smoke is gonna start coming up. That's when you know that it's ready to go in the oven. For now, we're just trying to get a little base on the bottom. The oven's at 500. Definitely just put it on the top shelf here and just let it go. All right, so we're definitely getting there. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do two things. Number one, we're gonna take it all the way out. And we're changing this up here to broil. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna blast it from the top. And what we wanna do is brown the top now. Just gonna brush the crust with the olive oil. Should be another, I'd say, 2 minutes. All right, 3 minutes or so. Look at that thing. I mean, come on. And as you can see now, because I did the olive oil brush, look at the outside edge. It's nice and golden. Look at this. Lifts right up. No resistance, no anything. That's all from the broil. So that's a nice important step to do at the end. Now all we're gonna do is cut it up. Everything stayed together pretty nicely there. I'm gonna look for the best slice to take a bite out of. I think this one looks really good. Last thing left to do. It's amazing. Look at the bottom of it. I mean, that's a nice golden crisp. So there you have it. Very simple. I mean, this took me maybe 45 minutes tops. Steak, mushroom, onion, pesto, flatbread. Many more of these videos to come. Next time we'll show you how to make the actual dough. Thanks for joining us though. It's been a lot of fun.